If you're trying to figure out the Social Security deposit date for December, I have that information for you. I'm going to give you the exact dates when your benefits are going to hit your bank account, including disability benefits. You also want to stay till the end of this video. I have two updates for you. The first one is a New York Times story about problems the Social Security Administration is experiencing that is going to cause some delays for people who are currently on benefits and future beneficiaries who are applying to start getting Social Security. And then 1 million people are at risk of losing or having their benefits suspended because of Social Security overpayment. This is a 60-minute story that just came out. I'm going to give you an update on that. So let's get right into it. So this is what I want to cover today. The first round of Social Security benefit payments are going to be hitting accounts in the next few days, including SSI payments. And then President Biden wants to change Social Security next year, 2024. I have an update on his 4-part plan to reform Social Security. And then, as I mentioned, the New York Times has a big story out, which came out today, about problems at the Social Security Administration that is going to affect beneficiaries. And then I want to conclude with a 60-minute story about 1 million Social Security and disability beneficiaries at risk of losing their benefits due to Social Security overpayments. People getting more money than they deserve, and now the Social Security wants the money paid back. So, if you're new to this channel, I want to urge you to hit the subscribe button, because all this channel is about is to bring you the latest news and updates about anything in and out of Congress that will affect your benefits. So, let's jump right into the details. So, the first thing I want to update you on is the Social Security payment schedule for December. So, how does the payment methods work? Well, Social Security payments are made on your birthday and a specific Wednesday. So if your birthday is between the 1st and the 10th of December, you're going to get your Social Security and SSDI benefits on the second Wednesday of the month. If your birthday is between the 11th and the 30th, your benefits are going to be paid on the third Wednesday of the month. And then lastly, if your birthday is between the 21st and 31st of December, your Social Security and SSDI benefits are going to be paid on the fourth Wednesday of the month. If you're on SSI benefits, your payments are usually paid on the first of each month unless the date falls on a weekend or a holiday, and you will be paid on the third if you live outside the United States, if you receive Social Security and SSI benefits together, if your state pays for your Medicare premiums, and if you apply for Social Security before 1997. So this is what the benefit dates look like this month for Social Security retirement benefits and SSDI, Social Security disability insurance. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th, your Social Security and SSDI benefits will be paid on December the 13th, which is a Wednesday. If your birthday is between the 11th and the 20th, your Social Security and SSDI benefits will be paid on December 20th, which is also a Wednesday. And then finally, if your birthday falls between the 21st and 31st of December, then you're going to get your benefits payment on December the 27th. For SSI beneficiaries, you are getting payments sent. You should have received your payment actually on December the 1st. But here's the news though. You're going to get a second payment on December the 29th because January 1st, which is when your next payment is going to come out, it's a holiday. That's New Year's Day. So as I mentioned before, payments are not made on weekends or holidays. So since January 1st is a holiday, SSI payments are going to be made on Friday, December the 29th. So you're going to get double payments in December, which means that in January, you are not going to get an SSI payment. That is really important. The double payment is not extra income. It is just your December payments, your January payment coming in December, and so you're not going to get an SSI payment in January. Now, for those of you who live outside the United States, are receiving both SSI and Social Security, your state pays for your Medicare premium, and you file for Social Security before 1997, you should have received your benefit on December the 1st because December the 3rd was a Sunday. So that is the details of Social Security SSDI, and SSI payment plans, if you did not receive your benefits, here is what to do. First, wait 3 additional business days before you call the Social Security Administration, because the Social Security Administration recommends that you wait. There may be a technical issue, there may be issues with your bank, and so after those 3 business days, if you still do not receive your benefits, then you can call the Social Security Administration at 1-800-772-1213, and then you can also access your benefits online. If you've created a My Social Security account, you can access your Social Security benefits and find out what is happening, what is holding up your payment. It may be an overpayment issue, which I am about to talk about, or your payment might have been canceled entirely because you violated a rule, a Social Security rule. So those are the reasons why your payment will be stopped. So if you waited after 3 days and nothing happened, there may be an issue that you need to explore. You could go to the Social Security Administration office or call them or go online to find out what happened to your payments. The next thing I want to talk about is the president's plan to reform Social Security. This is really, really important. President Biden has put up a 4-part plan to reform Social Security and disability. The Republicans in Congress also put up a plan, which I have done a whole video on. If you look into our video library, you see their plan and you can compare it to the president's plan. But I want to go over the president's plan for 2 reasons. Number one, it's going to affect everybody. Whether you are receiving benefits now or going to receive benefit in the future, his plan is going to affect you. So you want to pay attention. Number 2, there are elements in the plan for those of you who are receiving less benefits than you think you should get, or because you didn't work in a high-paying job to get a lot of benefits or a lot of Social Security retirement benefits. There is a plan in the president's plan to boost your benefits. So you want to stay for that. So let's jump right into it. So Joe Biden's plan is going to cost $273 billion to implement. And it's a 4-part plan that seeks to do a lot of things, including changing the way your COLA calculations are done. But before I get into that, why is it even necessary to reform Social Security? Well, the first thing is that 9 out of 10 retirees retire on Social Security. So it is a big part of the financial security for seniors. It has lifted millions out of poverty, but currently faces a financial challenge. Why is that? Because the baby boomer generation is retiring at record numbers. There's more money going out of the Social Security system than is being paid into it. So right now there's a $22 trillion shortfall that has to be fixed. And by 2035, the Social Security Trust Fund is going to have major issues if nothing is done from Congress about it. So that is what the president is seeking to do with his 4-part plan. And here are the 4 elements of that plan: to increase payroll taxation on high-income earners, to change the inflationary index by which Social Security COLA is calculated, to increase the special minimum benefit for Social Security, which is a very important update for those of you who are just making the minimum benefit, and then to raise the primary insurance amount for people at a certain age to help them with increased costs in benefits. So, what are the details of this plan? Let's start with the first one. So the president wants to increase payroll taxes on higher income earners. So what is the current system? Well, here is how the Social Security system works now. It is funded by payroll taxes for income up to $160,200 for 2023. So if you are making income, if you are working and getting payroll taxes, you are paying 12.4% of your paycheck in Social Security taxes. But that only counts up to $160,200 of your income. Anything above that is not taxed for Social Security benefits. Previously, it used to be that on top of that, if you make more than $400,000, then you are also taxed Social Security benefits. Well, what happened is that $400,000 cap was removed. So right now, only income up to $160,200 pays Social Security taxes. Well, the president wants to bring that back. Why? Because of the big shortfall that I talked about. And so this is a way to bring in more money into the system. Now, what that's going to do is going to create something called the donut hole. So if you make $400,000 or above in income, your first $100,000 and $160,000 will be taxed, and then your $400,000 and above income will be taxed. But anything between $400,000 and $160,200 will not be taxed. Well, what the president plan hopes for is that in the future that will level up and that donut hole will be closed, so that everybody working and making payroll income will all pay taxes, Social Security taxes, regardless of how much you make. And this is to make sure that the Social Security Trust Fund survives. And so it's to help bring in more money rather than this cap that we currently have. That is $160,200. So that's the first part of the president's plan that is really important. The second part is to change the inflationary index by which COLA is calculated. This is a big deal because a lot of you have complained about the 3.2% cost of living adjustment that is coming up in January next year. And the reason why COLA hasn't caught up with inflation, or inflation that is faced by Social Security and disability beneficiaries, is that the index that is used to calculate COLA is called the CPIW, which is the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. Now, what the president wants to do is change that index to a new index called the Consumer Price Index for the elderly. Why is this important? It's really is a very important distinction. The current index is for urban wage earners and clerical workers, but they are not the people that are on Social Security and disability. So why are we using an index that affects urban wage earners and clerical workers to calculate Social Security pay increases for people, retirees, and people on disability? So the president's plan is to actually use an index that reflects the current reality of people 62 and above who are receiving Social Security and the cost that they face on a daily basis, especially medical care, prescription drugs, etc. So it's a very important change to make sure that the future COLA, when it's calculated using the CPIE, will truly reflect the spending habits of households with individuals aged 62 and over and households with people on disability. So that's the first part of the second part of the plan. The third part of the president's plan is to increase the special minimum benefit. This is probably the most important part for a lot of people who get the minimum benefit for Social Security. So what happens is that when you qualify for Social Security, regardless of how much income you made, there is a special minimum benefit that you would get. And this is to ensure that even people who worked low-wage jobs during their lifetime do not receive very little money that they cannot even live off of. Well, that was what the problem was supposed to solve. The special minimum benefit was to give you a reasonable Social Security benefit regardless of how low or how small your income was when you worked. As long as you qualified, you got a special minimum. The problem is that the special minimum is not a lot of money. So currently, it is $1,033.50. If you annualize that, it is $12,402 for 2023. In 2024, that special minimum is going to go up by $33, a whole $33, and it's going to be $1,066.50. Well, that comes to $12,798. That clearly, if 40% of seniors only depend on Social Security benefits as their only source of income. So if you are depending on Social Security as your only source of income and you're getting the special minimum benefit, you are clearly living below the poverty line. So what the president wants to do is increase the special minimum benefit to 125% of the poverty level. So what does that mean? Why is that important? Well, each year the government releases what is called the federal poverty line. It shows the rate or the income at which the government considers you to be living in poverty. Why is this important? Because it affects a lot of people whose eligibility for government benefits is qualified through this chart. So clearly, the special minimum benefit that I showed you is $12,402 for 2023. That is below the poverty line for an individual because the government, according to the government, the poverty line is $14,580 for an individual. So if you're receiving the special minimum benefit, you are living below the poverty line. So the president wants to change that and increase your benefit to 125% of the poverty line, which for 2023 will be $18,225. That is a big deal. Why? Because that money, that $18,000 divided by 12, moves the special minimum benefit, the monthly special minimum benefit for 2024 from $1,066 to $1,518. That is a 47% increase. It's a $485 increase in benefits, which is a big, big deal, especially if all you were getting currently was $1,033. Moving that to $1,500 is a big, big deal. So I think this is a very critical part of the president's plan. And then the fourth part of the plan is to raise the primary insurance amount. Now, let me explain what this means. When you're getting ready to get Social Security benefits and the Social Security Administration is calculating your benefits, there is a baseline called the primary insurance amount. This is where they start then adding certain variables based on how much money you made, how long you worked for, etc. So what the president wants to do is increase that primary insurance amount, that baseline, move it up for people who are age 78 to 82. Why is that age group important? Because according to research data, people in that age category tend to experience increase in healthcare costs, increase in prescription drug costs, and it begins to erode their Social Security benefits significantly. So the president wants to adjust the PIA for that age group by 5% over that period so that it can help with the increase in healthcare and prescription drug costs that this particular age group continues to face. So that is President Biden's four-part plan to reform and extend Social Security. I want to hear from you what you think of the plan, what you like, what you don't like. Hit us in the comment section below and give us your opinion and your thoughts on whether you think this is actually going to happen and what you like about it and what your concerns are about the plan. So that is the president's plan. And in my opinion, the COLA, the cost of living adjustment, that is being changed to CPIE, and bringing back the tax on high income earners are probably the two big things that is going to ensure that the plan, number one, works for current retirees by having their benefits catch up with inflation, and also make sure that more money is coming in from payroll taxes to sustain the program. So that is the president's plan. Now, I am going to talk about this big New York Times story that just came out today about problems at the Social Security Administration. So the New York Times put out this story today about problems at the Social Security Administration that has to do with staffing issues, customer service issues that are affecting current beneficiaries and future beneficiaries. So I'm going to dig into it and tell you exactly what is going on at the Social Security Administration concerning this. So this has been going on for a while, and a lot of you have been complaining that when you call the Social Security Administration, it's hard to get somebody off the phone. Well, this image that came with the story pretty much sums up what's happening. There's a mountain load of work and one person has a lot to do where they're not able to keep up with what the mountain, more people are on Social Security now, and I'm going to talk about that when I talk about overpayment. More people are on Social Security now than ever before. Both Social Security and disability, 71 million people. And yet, the staffing level at the Social Security Administration is at an all-time low. So what does this mean? Well, the Social Security Administration is a big organization that is pivotal to a lot of people. As I said, 71 million people, beneficiaries rely on Social Security, and $1.4 trillion in benefits are paid every month. So having customer service issues is not a good look for the Social Security Administration, because a lot of people depend on them for information, for the applications to be processed, for issues with their benefits to be resolved, and that is facing a huge backlog. So currently, the average wait time when you call the Social Security Administration is 36 minutes. In 2013, 10 years ago, it was only 10 minutes. So you can see there's been a more than threefold increase in the wait time. And even with the introduction of automated systems to help people, it has not cut down on the wait time. So 36 minutes on average is what you're going to wait when you call them. And that is just average. So it could be more. So you can see how this is problematic. There's also a backlog in disability applications. So more than 1 million people are waiting on an average of 7 months for their initial disability benefit decisions. 1 million people are waiting an average of 7 months. And because of the staffing issues, processing of those disability applications is very slow. Another issue is what I'm going to talk about in the 60 Minutes episode, is the growing problem of overpayment, where a lot of people, over 1 million people each year, are finding themselves owning tens of thousands of dollars to the Social Security Administration for overpayment because they were paid more benefits than they deserve. And now the Social Security Administration is charged by law to get that money back. But they're facing Social Security staffing issues. So this has also become part of the mounting problems that the administration is facing. And then the big wild card, which is budget disputes that are causing further cuts to the Social Security Administration's budget. Congress cut the customer service budget in 2011 by 17%. So staffing also has hit a 25-year low last year. And despite this, the number of beneficiaries has increased by 22%. So that's the whole picture right there. Congress cut the customer service budget for the Social Security Administration by 17%. Staffing is at an all-time low, but then the number of beneficiaries has increased by 22% over the last decade. So that is this picture alone is recipe for disaster, and why the Social Security Administration is going through the problems that it's experiencing. And then the ongoing battle with Congress. The Biden administration wants $1.3 billion to increase Social Security customer service next year. The House Republicans have proposed a $250 million cut in spending, and the federal spending decision has been deferred. So there is so much uncertainty. We don't know when decisions are going to be made regarding budget for the Social Security Administration. And because of this, the Social Security Administration is struggling to maintain customer service, even though its cost continues to go up because of increased number of beneficiaries and the fact that it needs more resources to be able to support that increased number of beneficiaries. So the Social Security Administration is growing in cost by $600 million a year just because of the sheer increase in number of beneficiaries. And on top of this, there is a leadership crisis because the current Social Security Commissioner is acting, and Congress is supposed to appoint, go over the confirmation of former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, who has been nominated as the new Social Security Administrator, and that is still being held up in Congress. So you have a leadership issue on top of budget issue on top of customer service issue, and you can see how all these problems are piling up. And the current commissioner, the acting commissioner, has really been trying to deal with the issues, has added 7,900 employees, but more is needed. So until Congress acts on this, there's going to continue to be these problems. On top of that, they need to bring people in, and it takes about a year to train the average Social Security employee, about a year to get you fully trained on all the complex rules that the Social Security Administration has before you can get started and fully participate. So any further cuts that's going to come from Congress, or any furloughs or limited service, all those things are just going to complicate the problems of helping the administration serve people who are on Social Security, on disability benefits, or applying for benefits. So essentially, the Social Security Administration is in crisis. There's a backlog of disability applications. There's long wait times. There's budget disputes. And as a result, there are service challenges in the administration being able to help the people that they are meant to serve. So that is the update on that. If you've been experiencing problems with the Social Security Administration, you've been calling, long wait times, or not getting help at all, we want to hear from you in the comment section. Share your story so that we can get a good understanding of what is really happening with benefits. And now we go to the 60-minute story, which will all make sense now that we've talked about this Social Security shortage and the staffing issues that they experience. So this story is about overpayment. 1 million people are at risk of having their Social Security benefits suspended because of overpayment. So 60 Minutes got wind of this and did a story that got the attention of Congress, and there's a whole host of noise happening about this, but I want to share with you the details of the 60-minute stories, and most importantly, if you get one of these letters, if you get hit with one of these overpayment letters, I want to give you the 3 steps you can take to help yourself resolve this issue. If you get an overpayment letter, you cannot ignore it. You have to deal with it because you owe the money, and you have to find a way of using one of the 3 options I'm going to share to deal with it. So let's get to the story. So as I mentioned, 71 million people on Social Security benefits, 1 million people receive overpayments every year. What this means is that the Social Security Administration at some point realized that they were paying you more money than you deserve. And so by law, they have to get the money back. And you have 30 days to pay it back. And if you don't, they can take all your benefits to pay it off, or a portion of your benefits to pay it off. So there are 3 stories that the 60-minute episode went through, and I want to share that with you because they talk about people on Social Security retirement benefits and people on disability benefits that were impacted by this. And when you hear the amounts that these people owe, it will blow your mind. So let's get right into it. The first story is of Stephen and Becky Sword. This couple lives in Chicago, and they received a letter from the Social Security Administration that they owe $51,887. So let's understand how this happened. So the husband, Stephen, fell ill and got on disability benefits. While he was on disability benefits, he started working. And that is legal. When you're on disability benefits, the Social Security Administration encourages those on disability benefits who can work part-time to do so. So there's a program called Ticket to Work. There's a program called Trial to Work, and you can get on that. But what happens is that when you're working while on disability benefits, every single month you have to report your earnings to the Social Security Administration so that your benefits for the next month will be adjusted because you're making money from working. And so you cannot receive the full disability benefits while you're working. So they are saying, Stephen and Becky Sword are saying, they have been sending his earnings records to the Social Security Administration every single month. And for a long time, nothing happened. And then they get hit with a bill for $51,887, and they had 30 days to pay it off. They filed an appeal with the Social Security Administration, which essentially says that they are disagreeing with the amount. That was denied. they filed for a waiver, which essentially is asking the Social Security Administration to forgive the debt, to forgive the entire balance, because even if money is taken out of his Social Security paycheck, they are not going to be able to financially sustain their living. And that was denied. But there's a twist to this story, so you want to stay to the end to hear about what happened to them. But with this bill lingering, it caused a lot of stress on them. I mean, it's almost, $51,000. They had 30 days to pay it off. They didn't have the money. All they had was their $60,000 in retirement savings. And it got so bad that they wanted to give all of that to the Social Security Administration to make this go away. And that is what the twist is about. So I'll share that in a moment, but I want to get to the second story. This is of Jean and Glenn, and her story is even more crazy. So when Jane got on Social Security benefits 6 years ago, the Social Security Administration made a huge mistake in calculating how much she was supposed to receive on a monthly basis. Essentially, they were paying her more money than she was eligible for. But that is not her mistake. You know, she's not a Social Security expert to calculate how much she's supposed to get. That is the job of the Social Security Administration, and they made a mistake. This mistake went on for 4 years, and then the Social Security Administration realized that they had been paying her more money than she deserves, and so they sent her a bill for $72,000. She was supposed to pay that in a month, 30 days. And who has $72,000, especially if you're on Social Security benefit, sitting around to just give to the Social Security Administration? Many people do not have that. So she couldn't pay it. And after 30 days, they stopped her benefits completely. So she hasn't received a Social Security benefit in 2 years as a result of this issue. 2 years. She appealed. It was denied. She asked for a waiver. That was denied. And so there's also an update on her story I'll share in a second. And then we go to the third and probably the most craziest of all the 3 stories in this 60 minutes episode. And this is the story of Roy Farmer. So when he was young, you know, he had a disability. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and got on Social Security disability benefits. And around age 11, the Social Security Administration made a determination that he was not disabled anymore, and so they stopped sending him his benefits. But that's not all of it. They also said that they had overpaid him $4,920 while he was young. While he was 11 years old, they had paid him more money than he should have received while he was on disability. That money was paid to his mother to take care of him. And his mother has since passed away, but as an adult in his 20s, he's now working. They sent him a bill wanting to claw back the money that they had paid him when he was a child at age 11. So why can the Social Security Administration do this? Because they claim that he has enough money now that he's working to be able to pay it back. So they want it back. So here is what's going on. Congress got wind of this. They brought the current commissioner, the acting commissioner, before Congress. They did a whole theater. You know how congressional hearings go. Everybody wants to just play for the cameras and nothing happens. Well, that's what happened. But the issue still remains that the Social Security Administration is going after people for money that they sometimes did not know they were getting, that they shouldn't get. Sometimes they don't know how long this was happening, and then they get hit with a bill that they cannot pay. So experts are recommending some changes. But here is what's happening with the Social Security Administration, which I talked about recently, is that because of the staffing issues they are experiencing, even the overpayment issue cannot be addressed properly because they don't have adequate staffing to deal with it. But experts are saying that there should be some changes that Congress can make to make sure that this overpayment dilemma, this overpayment burden that is going through the vulnerable people who are on Social Security disability benefits, who don't have extra income. And here's another wrinkle to the whole disability thing. When you're on disability benefits, you can only have $2,000 in assets. Otherwise, you will lose your benefits. But the Social Security Administration is comfortable sending you a $51,000 bill to pay in 30 days, even though the benefit that you're on, you are not allowed to have more than $2,000. It does not make sense, but they're doing it. So experts are proposing that the Social Security Administration needs to really change the way they do overpayments, change the payment plan process, and also have a statute of limitation. Why are they going after people 4, 5 years, 6 years later when they've been getting money that, number one, may not have been their fault, and number two, they were not aware that they were getting the money in the first place? But the Social Security Administration has been aggressively collecting the money. They've been aggressively collecting these overpayments. As you can see, in 2022, they collected $3.354 billion. So if you receive one of these letters, here are 3 things you can do. Number one, if you have the money, pay it back. If you agree with it, you can pay it back. If you don't, like a lot of people, the first thing you can do is file an appeal. Now, the letter you're going to get from the Social Security Administration is going to tell you to file the appeal in 60 days. Well, here's the catch. If you file the appeal in 60 days, after 30 days, they can still collect money from you. They can stop your benefits or take a portion of your benefits. However, if you appeal within 30 days of receiving that letter, by law, they cannot collect money from you until they've made a decision on your appeal. So the best thing to do if you get a Social Security overpayment letter is to file an appeal within 30 days if that's your plan. Otherwise, after 30 days, they are free to collect money from you, to garnish your wages, to intercept your tax returns, to do all sorts of things to get their money back. So 30 days is the smartest thing to do. And then if your appeal is denied, you can file for a waiver. A waiver essentially just says that you are asking the Social Security Administration to forgive this debt because taking a portion of all of your benefits to pay it is going to crush you financially. So you want them to forgive the debt. If that is denied, like it was for all 3 people that I talked about, then you can request a hearing before a Social Security administrative judge. This is a legal proceeding, so you might want to get a lawyer to help you prepare your case so that you can put the best case forward and help you fight this overpayment issue. So those are your 3 options, and then, of course, requesting the hearing. But when you get a Social Security overpayment letter, do not ignore it, because the Social Security Administration, after 30 days, if they don't hear from you, they're going to start collection action, and that includes taking all your benefits to pay it off until it's paid off. So do not ignore an overpayment letter. So that is the update on overpayments, but here is the wrinkle, the whole crazy part about how this 60-minute story ended. So after 60 Minutes aired the episode, they reached out to the Social Security Administration trying to get answers about these 3 people, these 3 families that were featured in the story. And remember, I told you, all 3 of them filed an appeal. It was denied. They filed for a waiver. That was denied. But because there was publicity from 60 Minutes about this story and their story, the Social Security Administration did a 180 and forgave all their debt. So all 3 debts were forgiven because of the 60-minute story, which is great for the 3 people that were featured. But then the question is, what happens to the 1 million people who are going to get letters whose benefit are at risk of being suspended because of overpayment? What's going to happen? So the big picture here is that Congress needs to step in and really reform how this overpayment is done, put some statute of limitations in there to force the Social Security Administration to pay attention and stay on top of their game so that people are not going 3, 4, 5 years getting money they are not eligible for and then hit them with a bill that they cannot pay. So the solution is with Congress. But in the meantime, if you get overpayment letter, do not ignore it, because they are going to come after you and take your benefits. So that is all I have today. If you have any questions about anything I talked about, ask us in the comment section below. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, because as you can see, all we do is bring you the latest news and updates on anything that will affect your Social Security and disability benefits. So until I see you in the next video, Thank you for watching.